Welcome to yet another edition of Red Carpet Trailer Trash. My name is Ian Collins, and joining me is the well to my HG, Mr. Connor Rock.
I don't. Hello. Hi. I don't know how I feel about that one.
I feel like that's how you respond to all of those that I come up with on the spot.
That's actually exactly true. Although, isn't it H.G. Wells? Doesn't there two wells? Where's the other well? Am I just one of the wells?
You're just one of the
Or is
wells.
some other well?
Yep.
Oh, so Ian, I'm gonna ask the question this time. How are you doing? What's your week been like? What's new? What's good in the hood?
Well, it was a decent weekend. I made Oreo truffles, which was good. Saturday night, I had a blind rage with the desire to murder a delivery man.
Oh my! Yeah, I forgot about that.
I assumed that was the reason you were asking.
Oh no, I totally forgot about that. Do you want to dox the guy on here, and then the one listener can maybe get him?
By giving his first name, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, so I forgot about your 2 hour pizza delivery ordeal.
Yeah, no. Fucking pizza place is 3 blocks away from my apartment. This dude goes the complete wrong direction and then gets lost in Arlington. Waits for me to have to reach out to him. Doesn't even ask me where I am after an hour of not finding it. And I have to tell him, I have to reach out and see, dude, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm having some difficulty finding your address. What's the city and zip?
Yes,
I'm like, well, for one thing, the city and zip is included on what's given to you through the fucking information I provided. I checked. And 2, here it is. You drove 20 minutes in the wrong direction. You fucking idiot. So now my dinner is cold. I don't even get to enjoy it as much as I can the first time.
Yeah, alright, I'm sorry I rehashed those memories. We don't need to bring it up.
I also, I had meant to get a new cellular device over the weekend, but I didn't get the timing right, and I had to come back early because I had gone there with the hopes of getting it done early, but then I found out I wasn't an authorized user, and so then I had to go to and then I had already planned to go to the movies, which we'll be talking about shortly. And then I was supposed to record a different podcast at 2, and so I didn't get enough time to actually go and get my new phone. And I'm a little peeved about it because this phone is starting to show its cracks and its age.
Sounds like you just had not a great weekend.
It was fine.
It's typical. Do you wanna know how I'm doing? Do you wanna unpack this bag? Because I'm gonna tell you anyway. I am tired as fuck, and I'm tired because for the last, I don't know, 4 nights, I have been having nightmares like I'm a child again, and they wake me up like 4 or 5 times a night.
What are they? Like what kind of nightmares?
Well, this is where I'm not like too pissed about it because I don't remember them all because you know how dream memory works. Like you never really remember your dreams unless you like wake up, write it down, which I might start doing because they have all been like kind of interesting horror story plot lines. So I'm not mad about the nightmares necessarily. I'm more mad that I just keep waking up and I'm like I'm tired as all hell every morning. But they've been like I don't know, like mystery horror type deals, and I always wake up at like the big scares and then fall back asleep, and then they just start right back up. So it's been a crazy week.
Did I not tell you that over the winter, and I think it's because of my heating system. I think it really like dries out the air and it wakes me up. I've been for like the last 2 or 3 months. I would just wake up in the middle of the night at like 3 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, well, might as well get up and go to the restroom while I'm awake. And so that just happened every night for like 2 months.
That's rough. That's no fun. That's
Yeah, it
like
wasn't.
you're getting like a free trial of old age.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that like the reason I would have to get up is because I would be when I go to work, I drink like I don't know, like 3 liters of water during the day.
I'm not on the metric system. I'm an American. Can you put that into Gatorade bottles?
That is just over 3 quarts.
Wait, never mind. I don't know anything about water
A
measurement.
Gatorade bottle, a large Gatorade bottle is 32 fluid ounces, which is equal to 1 quart.
Oh, okay. I've never bothered to learn that, and I've taken multiple fluids classes in my life.
You might be the dumbest engineer I've ever met.
Oh, without a doubt. Remember that next time you fly, that I could design an airplane part.
Hypothetically.
I mean, yeah, I'm not in the business, but I technically am qualified. So's Kate. So's Leo. So's Pat. So's everyone we know.
Honestly, Pat and then Kate, I'd be fine with.
Well, I'm not gonna think too much about that big old fuck you. So,
You haven't done engineering in like 4 years.
that's fair. That's true.
Kate's been designing cranes for the last 2.
Okay, yeah, I forgot the whole. Yeah, that's fair.
Pat designs literal rockets.
I think they're satellites of love.
Whatever.
He designs love satellites. Oh yeah, but that's fair. What are we talking about this week? What are we doing?
This week we'll be discussing the Invisible Man and its very scary, spooky time. And we'll also be looking ahead to this weekend, which shows the newest edition of the Disney Pixar films, Onward, as well as Beneath Us, a thriller about a rich family hiring undocumented immigrants. And what was the third one?
The Way Back. I gotcha. It's
The Way Back.
New
Yes.
Ben Affleck movie.
Ben Affleck. That explains why Ben Affleck, as an actor, is one of the most forgettable people you will see. He needs to continue being a director and never show his face during the movie ever again.
Hot take. I liked his Batman. Anybody can fight me on that.
I actually have a friend that argues that the Ben Affleck Batman is the best Batman. Not the best movie, but the best version of Batman in the films. And I have almost fought him on that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I did enjoy it. Like it was very reminiscent of like the Batman cartoon that I watched as a kid, and I think that's why I liked it. Like he just like dropped some one-liners and then didn't really do anything else.
Batman the Animated Series was awesome. I watched that and the Spider-Man animated series just endlessly.
Yeah, those were like the 2 big ones. I also, do you remember this show? I can't remember. I don't know if it's a real show or if it was like a fever dream I had, but my mom and I used to watch it together. It was Gargoyles.
Yes.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy it much as a kid because I think I found the gargoyles to be scary, but a lot of people have said that it's considered to be like one of the most underrated cartoons ever.
I could see that because like my adult mother really liked it, and I was just like cool gargoyle fights, but so I don't remember like the depth of it, but I could see it being really good. I've heard a lot of people like. I don't know. Yeah, I agree.
It is supposedly on Disney Plus, which I assume you have.
Oh shit! Yeah, we do. Kate gets it through like Verizon or something.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I might have to watch some Gargoyles later. See what if it holds up to my 8-year-old. That and Beast Wars.
I don't remember that even kind of.
It was like Transformers, but they were all dinosaurs.
Do not even kind of care about that.
It was good. It was like a very
You are clearly lying to me, and I will not stand for it.
No, it was like a very early like horrible 3D like CGI animated Transformers, but they were all dinosaurs.
Do
And
you remember two things? One, Bionicles,
do I
and
remember
two,
Bionicles?
that TV show that was like on ABC about dinosaurs, where it was just, I don't remember if it was animated or if it was like people wearing costumes, but it was like there was a baby that would make funny noises and occasionally speak. There was an adult dad that went off to
Oh
work.
yeah, and they like wore people clothes or they were purple.
Yeah, they wore people clothes. Yeah.
Oh, I this you just unlocked like a very old memory, and I remember maybe being spooked of these people dinosaurs. And I really liked dinosaurs as a kid.
They were kind of creepy looking.
Yeah, but for one reason I have bad vibes associated with like I can just barely picture them like at like a kitchen table or something like that.
Yeah, that was one of the most common. Like there was always a scene in every episode with them at the kitchen table.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that. But I also, hell yeah, I remember Bionicles. I still have all my Bionicles from a kid because they had like series or like seasons of Bionicle toys.
Oh, they did. They most certainly
Yeah.
did with all the masks and all that junk. You are also a clear only child who just hasn't. Did you see the? Did you see the tweet that went kind of viral like 3 months ago, where it's you know that you're a rich white kid. Or you know you're upper class whenever you go home as an adult and you still have a bedroom.
I mean, I'd say you're mostly an only child for that because like, well, actually, hold on. Fun fact: the last time I went home, my bedroom has like it's still like sort of my bedroom, but it's been converted into a guest room. It's just a guest room that I get like dibs on for if we have more than one companies.
Just for just for reference, I have not had a bed to sleep in since my sophomore year of college.
What did your parents do with your room?
Uh, they we have a like cut some cousins that they have some problems with their parents, uh, kind of deadbeat parents, and so their grandmother takes care of them, and so we gave them our old twin beds.
Oh, okay. And you just well that we live different home lives, I guess. But I mean that's at least a good cause.
Yes.
It's because I was like, did your parents or they're just like fuck it, office, workout room, all these other
No, they did
rooms,
not do that.
like
They would not put any. They barely use the rooms that we do have. Like we have a family room that we or yeah, we have a family room that we just almost never use. So there's that. But the yeah, so I've been sleeping for the last like 5 years. Whenever I go back, I end up sleeping just on a two mattresses that have been stacked in the corner of my old bedroom.
I mean that's a bed. That's
That is the most ghetto ass bed.
I'm not saying it's a fancy bed, but that's a bed at least. It's not like you're on a like a comforter on the floor.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not staying the night at my college roommate at my college friend's dorm.
Yeah. What cuz you have four siblings?
Three
Three
siblings. There
siblings.
are four of us.
Okay. And so like
There's I have two older brothers and then my fake twin sister.
yes, so you have two siblings. You have two older brothers. You can't have we like Jess threw you a surprise birthday party and your twin sister wasn't even there. And that was it. She's fake for sure. And now I
Well,
forgot.
my twin sister did help in the planning of that, but she could not make it up that weekend.
Uh huh. I don't even remember where I was going with this in the first place. So, I don't know. You want to talk about movies?
Yeah, probably should, because I actually had a fair bit to say about the Invisible Man. So we didn't
Well,
really need to bullshit for 15 minutes to fill time, but yet here we are. So, The Invisible Man
yeah.
is a unique take on the H.G. Wells story, the famous story of a man who becomes invisible, but in this case, it's not a man who becomes invisible and can't change back. In this case, it is a man who has developed, who is an optics, a leading expert in the field of optics. And as you may have guessed, it's pretty well implied in the early part what it's going to be, but he designed a suit with cameras all over it. Like every square inch of the suit has a camera so that it can see what's behind it, in front of it, and just reflect that value on the opposite side so as to render him invisible. They don't really go much into the details of how it works.
Which I think is
Uh,
fine. I mean,
I think that that's the smart decision because
y-
that's not really the important part.
yeah, and trying to explain it too much would kind of like take away from it or like leave too many, just it would just open it up to criticism where this is like, hey, this is this piece of technology, believe in it. A lot of like sci-fi should do that more than feel the
They really
need to
should.
like explain everything.
Yeah, that I think I mentioned on the Terminator one that that was one of the more amusing things was when they were asking the Terminator that came back from the future what she was doing. She just said, "Shut up, future shit."
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But this is a unique take on the story because one, he is not stuck as being invisible like in The Hollow Man, which was the Kevin Bacon version of this movie. I think in the 1990s. I want to say 1995, but I don't
Oh yeah,
recall.
I forgot about that one.
Great movie. 10 out
Yeah.
of 10 would recommend that. Um, the but and also the story itself that these both were based off of. So this is like it being a suit means that he can put it on and off, and so that's an important detail to keep in mind. So what they also applied this in a way that it's not just about a man that goes sort of insane because he can't be visible. It's about they apply the concept to the idea of controlling abusive relationship, where the protagonist Elizabeth Moss, whose name we couldn't remember last week. The very opening scene is her having drugged her boyfriend or husband, whoever he is, and she wakes up in the middle of the night and or maybe just stayed awake and has this plan where she's just gathering things, moving cameras about so that she can escape in the middle of the night from this house. And as she's leaving, she sees their dog and she feels guilty about it, about leaving it. And so then, as she lets him go, he bumps against the car, setting off the alarm, and wakes him up and wakes up the boyfriend. And so Elizabeth Moss meets her sister on the road outside of this like large complex because this guy's a leader in technology, so he is a very rich man.
Okay.
And so as she's trying to flee, this this character Adrian is the abusive boyfriend comes running out of the woods at the car and starts slamming on the car window as they're just stopped there. And then Elizabeth Moss is telling her sister, "We just need to get out of it. We just need to get out of there." And then he eventually just punches out the window and is like trying to choke out Elizabeth Moss and pull her back through. And then they drive away. And you may be thinking, why am I explaining it in detail like this? And it'll make more sense later. The reason why is because I don't want to give. Because you actually really want to see this, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a bit of a twist towards the end to where it just raises the question: Did did Adrian actually do all of these things, or is Elizabeth Moss just sort of crazy?
Oh, so like there's actually
And
a question of her insanity, because isn't the whole like his whole thing is like he fakes his death and then leaves her money, but she has to prove she's not insane.
and avoid committing murder. So it uh, so there is a reading of the movie where she is just sort of I don't want to, like I said, the first few acts, she is seemingly going kind of loopy. She forgets to pack things for a job interview. She passes out from having taken the drug that she had used to drug Adrian. Things like this start happening.
Okay, so yeah, don't, I mean, you don't have to spoil it too much or go into it too much, but I didn't expect it to take that like kind of dichotomy of maybe she's crazy, maybe she's not, or whatever. But I mean, overall, how was it? And or
It
just
was
continue on
the
yours.
most important thing about this is that you know how typically whenever you're and then I'll admit that this I garnered this explanation from a different podcast called Across the Movie Aisle. Uh, and they were discussing it, and it was I didn't really know how to explain this sort of tension and anxiety that you're just filled with for the first two acts of the movie, or the first hour or so. You just are waiting for something to happen because you know it's going to, because you've been just conditioned to expect something to happen. You've been conditioned to like see the curtains move, to see like a seat move out, like be pulled out from a table, something to happen to indicate that the Invisible Man is there.
Yeah,
And for the first hour of the movie, and there could be exceptions I can't quite recall, but pretty much for the first hour of the movie, there will be times when it pans to an area that's just an empty room and nothing happens.
oh, that's great.
Like it's terrifying. Like you're just waiting, 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 and nothing happens. There isn't even that. The best part is that there are no like false jump scares. Like there isn't like, oh, it's just the cat. That's what it was.
Oh, okay,
It's
none of the cheese.
it. Yeah. Instead, what happens is that instead of there being like in times when you would expect a jump scare, there's nothing. There's silence, there's nothing. You'll occasionally see like the actions that are taken by that suggest the Invisible Man is there. Uh but it's really it the tension it creates is what makes it so effective.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And
correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds like that's amazing. That makes me even more excited than I already was, because I wouldn't have thought to do that, and it just seems like then that just solidifies that they really know the material here. They know what they're showing, and they know how to make it work.
I will say that this is probably like top 10 best directorial decisions I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like the direction in this is just brilliant. The direction they go with the story, where it becomes sort of an allegory about believing victims of domestic violence, is an interesting part because you wouldn't assume, like you wouldn't believe someone who's saying that they're being haunted by an invisible person. That's a ludicrous thing to suggest.
Yeah, especially when
But
said
it's
person is dead or
yeah.
presumed dead, whatever. But yeah, no, absolutely. If someone's like, "Hey, there's an invisible guy stalking me," you just like, "All right, crazy person."
but then you have to think about the fact that the story itself is about she has she has claimed, and granted there's no evidence that it happened except for what I told you about in the beginning, and that's sort of why I explained the opening of it. She has claimed that this man like was controlling her entire life, would hit her among other things. It it doesn't go into detail. It allows your imagination to fill it, but there's no proof that any of that happens except for that opening scene. And so that's where the questioning comes in. And so
So I mean, do other things come to light in the movie that maybe like allow you as the viewer to see that scene in a different way?
uh
Be-
not really.
Because I don't know, like punching in a car window and trying to
Oh yeah,
choke
no.
someone,
That
like
that's sort of the thing, is like it very clearly demonstrates he's not a good guy, but the idea is, does it demonstrate that he's a bad enough person? Like you don't know, like there could be all kinds of reasons why this is happening. She did just drug him. It's reasonable to think
yeah,
that
I
he's
guess that's
upset.
true. And
So it's
stole the dog.
yeah, and so it's reasonable to think he's pretty upset with her. But obviously, you don't have a lot of context for that, and so you're just going off of what she has said. But then again, if you go with what she said, it makes perfect sense because he is a world leader in optics technology. He could create. He very easily could create something that would make it viable or possible for him to become invisible with the right motivation. And if he is an abusive boyfriend or ex or whatever, then the idea that he would do these sorts of manipulative things like drugging her or attacking her, things like that, then that makes perfect sense. And so it really just comes down to like, and that's really the biggest problem that I had with this, is that even if they were going to be like, we know that Adrian's dead, the idea that you're going to sit there and think there's no way that this tech genius could have done something to fuck with his ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, after she left him and drove him to the point of suicide. There's no way that this millionaire would do something to get back at her, and it seems like you would think there'd be a little more trust between her and some of these other characters, to where it wouldn't be so easy for them to be like, yeah, no, you're clearly crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's my biggest problem with the movie, is that particular detail, is that it's people are too willing and too easily swayed to give up on Elizabeth Moss's character.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's fair.
But as a whole, uh, it is draining just watching it, because you're just on the edge of your seat and just kind of anxious the entire movie.
It really does a good job of making you, the viewer, feel what she feels. It sounds like.
Yes, and then also on the point of the directorial decisions, there are also times when, instead of looking at it where like you're just standing next to Elizabeth Moss, or like basically third person view of her, you zoom out and you're looking at her as if you're peeking around a corner from about 10 feet away within the house or within the building, as if you're spying on her, which gives you the impression that there is someone lurking in the shadows, figuratively, of course.
Yeah.
But it gives you that uneasy feeling.
Yeah, I mean, everything you've said makes me want to see this all the more.
I think you would love this movie. I thought it was excellent and very well done. I never want to see it again, though.
I mean, that's
It was I was so uncomfortable for the entire first hour and 20 minutes. It was I was physically uncomfortable.
that is. I mean, that is a great compliment in itself to the movie, and yeah, I think it's fair to not want to just go through that again.
Yeah, I will say that they did have the second best jump scare I've ever seen in like any TV show or movie at one point in the movie.
Just because it was so well done or unexpected
Yes,
or
because like for a jump scare to be done effectively and well, it's not like the slasher jumps out like appears like someone looks out a window and then suddenly the slasher sticks his head up and there he is. No, an effective jump scare is where it has this just natural ambiance of tension and anxiety, and then eventually it pays it off, not with something cheap like the false scare, but like there's a reason you should be afraid right now.
yeah. I think part of the reason that I want to see this movie so badly is because this to me is kind of exactly what I like my favorite type of horror is. Not so much like like you said like the slasher pops up and he's all covered in blood and whatever, but it's like just the realization that like you haven't been alone or like you're like there's something watching you with you like just that kind of creepiness and unease to me is some of the scariest like scariest material, and not like barely anything really works with that.
Yeah, I think that's why I think that movies like When a Stranger Calls or The Strangers, those are some of the scariest movies because there is that sort of realism to it, but there's also like the idea that what do you do in that situation? There's a sort of helplessness that just the concept itself embodies.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited. I might make a point to go to the movie theater sometime soon.
I if I'm not sure if they have one down in Roanoke, but if you get a chance, seeing it in Dolby, or IMAX would make it. I think it really lent itself to a better watching experience.
I do not know enough about our theaters around here, but I'll definitely
Yeah,
have to check
I'm
it
not
out.
sure. I'm not. You've been to see one or two movies in the last 6 months?
Last 6 months, probably only one. I don't know. When did Avengers? Avengers was the last movie I saw before
Star Wars.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, no. Avengers was May.
Yeah, so it was like about a year ago almost.
Yeah.
Well,
But the I will say that if we want to take a quick detour into the spooky corner, that it the just because there's this sort of ambiance of anxiety, and the only thing that I could really think of that gave me the same sort of tension or just like dread while watching it was the Netflix series Haunting at Hill House.
okay.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, we've actually I think we've watched it twice because Kate really liked it. I didn't love it. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine, but it really wasn't like up there in my like favorite horror experiences.
Is that because you're not a big ghost horror kind of guy, or
I don't know. I mean, I really I liked a lot of it, but I feel like maybe it was just too long and there was a lot in there that I didn't really care about. But thinking back on it, no, I don't know. I think it was done well, and I agree that it was good. But I just for whatever reason it didn't really resonate with me.
yeah, no, the and I always point to this, but that scene, the jump scare in episode 9, where Nell's ghost jumps out from the back seat was the scariest. Like I legitimately was terrified when that happened.
Like when when I forget his name, like Juggy Brothers driving to the house.
No, it's when Theo and I want to say Lori, but the two
Oh
sisters,
yeah, and they're like fighting
they're in
in
the
the
middle of
car.
like an intense argument, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
just out of nowhere, there's this scream.
yeah, and she like pops her head up. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. That one scared the fucking shit out of me. I legitimately had to pause the show and like stop hyperventilating because I was so caught off guard and like just terrified. I think I literally let out a scream in terror. I was so surprised by it.
Yeah, I don't know why I never liked, because I like how like she was the crooked neck lady or whatever her name
The
was,
Yes,
and
lots of
how like
spoilers on this.
well, it's been out for a while.
It's been out for like 4 years, or I guess it's only been two or three,
Yeah.
but still.
And then I also like how like upon rewatching, I think Kate pointed this out maybe, is like anytime the kids would mention whatever their room was, the parents would be like you could see them be like, what are you talking about? Like when was his name Ben, like the little kid, when he'd be like, I was in the treehouse, like you could see people be like, what are you talking about? There's no treehouse. So like,
Yeah, no, that was a thing that I think his name's Ben, but Luke is the small one. But Ben
maybe
was
Luke.
talking about have you checked the scene I think you're talking about is they're looking for Luke and Ben says, "Have you checked his treehouse? He was in there earlier." And so his mom says, "Very funny, Ben." And then you don't really think about it at first when it first happens, but then you realize if there is no treehouse, then that's why that happened.
Yeah.
Then have you seen? Did you notice all the different ghosts that were in the background?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention the first time and haven't like really watched it the second time.
Yeah, no. Like if you pay attention, then in the background, like of a lot of scenes, like through doorways or in reflections or around corners, you can see like fit like shadowy figures, pale faces, uh, just these really uncomfortable things, and like these figures, and none of the people in the house actually acknowledge them, but they're just standing there.
I feel like, have we had this conversation before, or am I thinking of when we talked about it and all this shit in the background of it?
I think it was it.
Well, I think maybe I'll have to give Hill House a third try here in a little bit once it's fresh again, you know. And
Yeah, like one example is also that one of the statues actually starts looking a different direction.
yeah, really.
Yeah, like they cut like someone walks into a bedroom and then walks out and the statue is looking a different direction.
You know, I'm gonna have to definitely give it another chance because all of that is like the perfect like little subtleties I think make something truly terrifying. Because like if you don't call attention to it, and then it's just you as the viewer being like, "What the fuck?" And I think that's some A plus
Yeah, that's
horror.
the thing that that really makes you uncomfortable. The most commonplace throughout the series that I think that they would have people like have the figures is if you go to it's like on either side of the main staircase. Uh, you know that establishing shot they really like to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly on the right side if you're looking at the staircase. There's a doorway into the kitchen where they always like to have someone standing.
Huh. All right. I'll have to check that out. We do need to talk about next weekend, this coming weekend,
Yes, yes, we do.
so we can run through
Uh,
these real quick. I don't think it's gonna be super long, so we got it. We're easy peasy.
so, what are your thoughts on Onward?
I mean, I, this I think it's Disney Pixar, so it's not gonna be a bad movie. Um, it looks fun.
Tell that to Cars too.
I'll tell that to the first Cars. I hate Cars, and I'll go out. I'll write me letters, write us emails if you like Cars. I don't care. You can write me too, Ian. I don't like the
Cars
first
is
Cars.
okay. It is honestly, it's probably like the bottom three of original. I still haven't seen Brave,
Well,
but I'd
Brave is good, I think, but
is it? I would probably of the original because like the sequels have been sort of touch and go, but I would say that Cars is probably one of the worst ones in terms of comparing it. But when you compare it to like Cars 2, Cars 3, or Planes, which are all things that were made,
I forgot
I
about
think
planes.
I it makes it look better by comparison. But I'm not gonna hate on the idea that you think it's the like one of the worst ones.
I
But
just
if you're gonna sit there and say that it's just outright bad, I am gonna disagree with you on that.
I mean, I don't know. I just didn't like it that much. Maybe it's a fine movie. I've only seen it once, but I absolutely think it's their worst movie. But so anyway, this is about two brothers whose dad died like a while ago, and then when Tom Holland
When
turns 16, he gets a wizard
yep,
staff that can bring his dad back. But they only do half the spell or something cuts it short, and now they got a pair of legs. And then they set off on an adventure to like do it better, or like bring him back, fix it. I don't know. I think
it is worth noting that this is basically it's an imagination of if like fictional creatures like elves, dwarves, uh, unicorns, stuff like that, if they were real and lived in a society like people today live in.
yeah, they like developed technology somewhere and like the nonsense. So I think that's a cool world that it'll be set in. I think this might be the plot of Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not sure. I haven't watched that in a while. It's like two brothers doing
Miss
some what?
miss me with that weeb shit.
I thought that's what you'd say. But I think it'll be fine. I think Tom Holland and Chris Pratt probably have some solid synergy. Um, yeah, I don't know. It looks like it's a Disney Pixar movie. It'll be fun.
I think that it looks like it'll be decent. I don't think it's gonna knock anyone's socks off. I think it'll be like middle tier amongst the
Yeah,
Pixar movies. It doesn't look like it'll be especially bad. And I think it doesn't look like it's going to do anything to really stand out and like be great. But I think that its unique premise is going to make it so that it's one of the more. It's at least like middle of the road.
yeah, because that is an interesting world that they've created. The plot line is yeah, whatever, and then so yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it'll probably run somewhere middle of the pack.
They do have a lot that they can do with it though, so I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else you want to say about Onward, or should we move onward to the next one?
Well, we can't waste that segue, so yeah, let's let's keep going. What do you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about Beneath Us.
All right, so you're talking about is this a sequel to Get Out, or is this just the same movie but with undocumented workers instead of
It
black people?
is. It's not quite the same, but
I mean,
it's basically it's a worse premise that's similar.
yeah, it's definitely a worse premise of just like they lock them up until they finish the job and then kill them. I don't know. It's a very I thought reading the description of the trailer before I watched it, I was like, or the description of the movie before I watched the trailer, I expected this to be more along the lines of like a drama, and then the trailer was like a whole lot of like horror thriller, and I was just not expecting that, and I totally lost my interest.
I mean, it's a movie about how a rich white family basically kidnaps a bunch of undocumented workers and gets them to work on their house for them for free
Yeah,
as basically slave labor. And then if they don't do it well and if they refuse to work, then they end up then they like start they put up like an electric fence that they can't get escape from. They have guns. I think it's just a weird thing, and I don't. It just looks like it's trying too hard, and it doesn't. I think it's very ham-fisted and ham-handed, and it's just not. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah, I will give it credit for the name because they like they're viewed as beneath the whatever family's making them work the house, and then they also like kill them and bury them beneath the house. So it's they're
It's a
beneath us in two senses there. But other than that, I could care less about this movie. I couldn't care less.
yeah, no. This I'll be honest. This one we're only talking about because I like to have at least three movies to discuss looking forward, and it's always nice to have one that's just utter garbage that we're not interested in seeing.
Yeah, and this is normally where I go, who knows? It could surprise us, but I doubt it. I will.
Neither of us are gonna ever watch this movie, so
That's true. So we'll never know.
and but on the note of utter garbage, Ben Affleck stars
Got him.
stars in this new film, The Way Back, about an alcoholic, uh, who former basketball star, who it appears has suffered some sort of familial tragedy, and has been recruited to be the next basketball coach at his alma mater.
Yeah, I think that. Yep, nailed it.
Yep, that's
And
pretty ster.
I,
Go ahead.
I'm mixed. I can't decide if I think I would enjoy this movie and I would like to see it, or if I don't give a shit at all about it, which is might just be Ben Affleck summed up because I don't know. Like it looks compelling sort of, but at the same time the story just seems like it's just a minor variation on story like the story that's been done before, and it feels kind of bland, and it might just be Ben Affleck acting really hard.
Yeah, it really. I don't think he's really acting that hard because apparently it's the character is loosely based upon his personal life experiences because he was a an alcoholic slob that was sort of over the hill at one point before he got sober. So seems fitting that he would play the character. Uh, but it seems like a very generic movie. By no means do I think that means that it'll be bad, but I just don't think it'll be great. I feel like there's going to be better movies on the horizon that you can watch instead. But if you're desperate, I don't think that this is going to be something that's terrible, but I also don't think it's going to be anything that'll be inspiring. I think that it's just going to be one of those run of the mill, quote unquote, inspirational sort of deals where Ben Affleck has a bit of a redemption. It's gonna try and hit you right in the feels and kind of land a glancing blow. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I think did we said something either last week or the week before that about like how you watched like a trailer for a movie and it just made you want to watch another movie. This did the same thing with me. I don't remember what it was we were talking about before, but I watched this and I was like, I could watch Coach Carter right now.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, so
That was the exact movie that I was like, I could watch this movie that is almost certainly better than the one that I'm watching a trailer for.
yeah, so this movie did a good job in making me want to watch Coach Carter sometime in the near future, but the trailer did at least.
How good is Samuel L. Jackson?
Pretty damn good. He's been in everything, and I like one of my favorite parts about him is like he's been in like so many great movies, played so many good, believable, just like great acting roles, and then he's also been on like Snakes on a Plane. And it's just
I could be wrong. I think he is the highest he's the highest grossing actor of all time.
I've definitely heard that before. I think it was from you though, so I can't fact check you with yourself. But it makes
Yeah,
sense because
no,
you
it's
because you were like you did all the Marvel, you did all the Star Wars, he does a lot of Tarantino, which make pretty good. Yeah, so I think that's fair. It's probably a
yep. I
true.
think Harrison Ford is also up there. Tom Hanks.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, we just watched the Blade Runner whatever cut is on Netflix right now, the final cut.
Yeah,
I when I went into watching that, I was like, "Kate, you gotta watch Blade Runner. It's like a classic, great movie. You'll love it." And I'm not sure if it's just that cut, but it sucks. Like the whatever the Blade Runner is on Netflix, do not watch it. It's just, or maybe just I remembered it better, or I remembered the book because I read The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
yeah.
So I don't remember, but it was just weird. Like it wasn't. It was not the movie I remember.
I've heard that the final cut is actually far superior to the theatrical cut.
And that makes me worried that like there was like a whole. How much of Blade Runner do you remember?
I have never seen Blade Runner.
Oh, there was like a whole scene where he like very pretty much rapily aggressively like forces this android to like kiss him and then has sex with him. And I was like, I do not remember this at all. But Blade Runner might be canceled.
We can't start going through every movie from the 80s that
That's,
should be canceled.
it's every movie from the 80s.
Yeah, well, if we want to start fucking listing them off, yes. It's going to be real hard to find movies from the 80s that are still completely okay.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of like I don't want to say I was shocked, but I was like, this sucks. I don't know why I held this in such high esteem. I'm gonna read the book again now though, and maybe that's why. Because I remember the book being pretty good, but who knows? Maybe everything I love just sucks. I didn't really like Blade Runner that much. I don't know why I'm so invested in this. All right, you want to give us the rundown?
Okay, so with this this episode with a lot with about 20 to 25 minutes of real nonsense that we or just tangential stuff. Uh a big fat ready for the red carpet for the Invisible Man. I think that we're also both giving a ready for the red carpet to Onward
Yeah, it's gotta
and
be.
to the way back. Little more tepid on the way back, but it just probably barely makes its way over the threshold. But Beneath Us is getting a very firm trailer trash rating.
Yeah, yeah, trash beneath us. I was gonna make a joke. Insert funny joke here later, editor, about how beneath us is beneath our rating scale. Our oh right. Anyway, do you want to talk about your other podcasts?
Sure. So for
It's like, are you gonna do it?
sorry, I had a quick yawn there. Um, but the my other two podcasts, I'm in the process of sort of recording a few different episodes of the podcast. Stereotopical on different topics. We've discussed things from the media and its current state and how it got here in terms of newspaper, television, radio. We've talked about gun control. We've talked about globalization. We've talked about healthcare. All interesting discussions that we're going to start releasing on a weekly basis shortly. And that's stereotopical. It's like stereotypical, but with an O instead of a Y. And then I also do my sports gambling podcast and we're about to dive headfirst into the shallow end of March Madness, and it's gonna be a grand old time.
Oh yeah, shit. It almost is. Oh, what? It is March. Oh,
This is March.
this is March. All right. Well, you can follow us on Twitter Although, as always, no one fucking tweets. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
Until next time?